We continue our popular series with Dr. Dave Lalman again this week, looking at how much it actually takes to raise a cow in 2025. This week, he talks with SUNUP's Curtis Hare about how feed can actually make or break your operation.
We're continuing our conversations with our OSU Extension beef cattle specialist, Dr. Dave Lalman, on the costs to run a cow. And Dave, the past couple of weeks we've been talking about the things that producers can do, and especially, the difference between the top 1/3 earning producers and the bottom 1/3 earning producers and what separates them. And one of the things you mentioned before we let off last time was nutrition.
Yeah, it's always a big part of the budget. And those top 1/3 profitable producers do a good job of controlling that cost. And so today I thought we might just kind of talk through, kind of a logical sequence to think about when it comes to making informed decisions about the nutrition program to not only meet the requirements of the animals, but control the cost.
And so, for the top 1/3 earning producers, like you mentioned, what are some things that they do to control that cost when it comes to feeding?
Well, first of all, they know their cost, right? And they really do their homework to see where they can fine tune and cut back or land in that sweet spot of not spending too much, but meeting the requirements of the animals so that they'll be productive.
And a lot of this is like with producers, maybe in that bottom 1/3 is they just really don't know exactly how much or how less they're feeding.
Yeah, well, it could be the amount they're feeding or the content of what they're feeding that might not fit as well as it could. And so maybe a good point for today's session is if they're not comfortable working with a nutrition program or something to hit that sweet spot between the cost and the requirements of the animal, will then seek out a professional that's got a lot of experience doing that. And our extension educators certainly can do that, and our area livestock specialists. We provide a lot of tools through extension to help people work through those.
So do you have an example about how a producer could actually work this into their production to figure out how much they're feeding?
So, the first thing is to know your cost, and let's take a native range example and kind of work through those costs. So let's say in this part of the state, a common yield on native pastures may be around 3,500 pounds. Harvest efficiency, we'll use 28%, so we'll multiply 3,500 times 0.28. That gives you 980 pounds of forage per acre consumed by the cows, okay? If we pay $30 total, rent plus maybe $5 of cost, that would give you about 3 cents per pound of forage consumed, or $60 per ton of dry matter consumed on that acre of land.
Okay, but what about the quality?
Yeah, so that's a good point. We've had our native pastures tested here just recently, this time of year, and normally our native range pasture would be around 7% protein and around 57 to 58% TDN in early October. This year it's 6 and 55, so it's a little bit lower quality this year than it has been. So, again, it points out the need for producers to know their cost and know the quality of their forage.
And that's a lot of information that could probably seem overwhelming, to a producer who's ready to put pen to the paper. But there are, like you mentioned, there are a lot of extension resources available to help producers, like the feeder bout calibration clinics that SUNUP's covered over the years and things like that.
The calculator program, and that's what I used this morning to calculate those numbers, and I did it in about 10 minutes. So yeah, producers contact their extension educator, get familiar with all the resources that we have and make good use of them. And yes, it's not that difficult though to make solid decisions that minimize the cost but meet the animal's requirements.
And as you mentioned, and as Dr. Pill mentioned, in these type of circumstances with high cattle prices, knowing exactly what you're feeding is extremely important.
Very important.
All righty, thanks, Dave. And if you'd like some more information about the resources that Dave mentioned, just go to our website, sunup.okstate.edu.